Welcome back for another episode on intervention and how to get this going in your building. So at this point, I hope you've thought through the overall structure and thought about how this can be implemented in your building. So I'm going to go over that quickly again, just as a recap. If you look here, what you'll see is our tiered triangle of support. And the difference in our model is Tier 1, Tier 2A, Tier 2B, Tier 3A, and Tier 3B. We've split those middle sections up so that students can get more support inside their classroom, but also outside of their classroom, and move quickly to get back to Tier 1. Again, not getting those skills in isolation. We're going to go through later on in the course what those intervention times should look like and what should happen in an intervention block. But every time they move up the triangle, they should never lose the support that's underneath that. So if they're Tier 1 going to Tier 2A, then they should get Tier 1 plus Tier 2A. If they're a Tier 2B, they should get Tier 1, Tier 2A, and Tier 2B. All the way up, they should continue to add support as they go up. Okay, so today we're going to talk about how you engage your teachers in a big shift and a new approach to intervention. I've been there, right? I've been at the pushback. I've been at the, I don't think we can do this. This is too much. It's a lot of work. Been there, okay? A couple things I would say to make sure that you are doing on the back end to combat those pushback moments. Make sure that you're in the trenches, okay? So no big shift happens if they see you just sitting in your office, or if they see you just out every once in a while, or they only see you in the hallways. You got to make sure that before you make a shift like this, you are visible in instruction, okay? And it's the only real way to share with them or to make them know that you actually know what you're talking about, okay? So I always start with a small group. As leaders, you know as well as I know, you can't hide from the big stuff. So if we have a problem in intervention, or if we have students that are falling behind and staying behind, then this is a shift that needs to happen in your building. And it all starts with mindset, and it all starts with you believing in it 100, 1000%. And it depends on the structure of your building. In my building, whenever I have a new idea, and I have new ideas often, I usually go to my coaches and my assistant principal first. I'm going to put it on the table for them. And they're kind of like my sounding board. Tell me what could go wrong here. Tell me what could go right. Tell me what the feedback from our teachers is going to be. What are some things that could get in the way of this process? We're going to go through a couple weeks of just brainstorming and talking about the strengths and weaknesses of this plan before it even goes to the next level of teachers. Okay. And then I'm going to take it to my instructional team. If you don't have an instructional leadership team in your building, it's okay. It's time to get one started. Okay. Especially right now, right before the end of the school year. Right now it's about March, and we've got a couple months until the end of the school year. It's a great time to pull together some of your lead teachers, some of your up and coming leaders. So it doesn't have to be your teachers that have been there the longest, but your up and coming people, and present the idea to them. When you present the idea to them, you want to make sure that you've done all of your thinking through with your leadership team, and you want to make sure that they also have a role in it. So it's not just you as a talking head sharing this information. It's the four of you, or your team, whatever that looks like, your admin team, because you've already all bought into it, okay? And you're excited and you're on fire about it, and this is really going to make a difference for your kids. And it's going to make your teacher's job easier in the long run. So a couple years down the road, what if it could look like our fourth graders are no longer 2 or 3 grade levels behind? What if it looked like our sixth graders were all reading 80 to 100 words a minute? What if it looked like our kids were exactly where they needed to be and our data started to rise for our kids? That's the story that you're selling. And when you move into this, you are selling a story. Okay, so it's the story of where you are, but it's also the story of where you're going. And I use that time with my lead teachers to practice what I'm going to be telling to my entire group of teachers. Okay. So there's no different information between the two settings because I want them to be authentic. I want them to tell me, the pitfalls. I want them to tell me, hey, that didn't set right. And within your leadership team, your instructional leadership team, there has to be trust there. So I always tell mine when we meet, I say, hey, this is a new idea. There's nothing set in stone yet because I want you guys' feedback. I want to make sure that we're set up and we're a united front when we go in. And I may spend 2-3 weeks hearing their concerns, going through those, really thinking about them, and then coming back with solutions. Or things that we've thought of together. We may brainstorm different ways to present. So the way that I initially go in may not be what actually comes out to everybody else. But I always tell them, I need you all to keep this in this group for right now because it's just not ready to go out yet. Okay? So start with a question. Why are we here? Let your teachers talk to each other because we know that every teacher in your school cares deeply about their students. Listen, I know every once in a while we'll come up against some teachers that have been doing this for a long time that are not all in for kids anymore. But the majority of our teachers are, and they want to do what's best for kids. And they want to do what's best. And that's why they got into this profession in the first place. And so we're tapping into that why. We want every child to succeed, to grow, and to reach their full potential. This new process that I'm going to show you guys is going to allow our students to get everything that they need throughout the week. And here's the hard truth. Right now, not all of them are. So you want to have your data in front of you. What does that look like? Start from where you currently are. For example, in my building, when I first started, we were at 55% reading proficiency in 3rd grade. And we take a state test every year that says we should be closer to 95%. We weren't even close. Our triangle was upside down. We didn't have a place to start. We didn't have great data. My teachers were frustrated. They had behaviors in their classrooms. It was hard. It was really hard. And I think you have to own the hard first. But I want to tell you something. When you start to give kids the things that they need to feel successful in your building, everything gets better. Even your behavior systems improve because kids have a time during the day where they feel like they're thriving. So talk about your reading proficiency. Again, we're going to start in reading. We are going to go to math, but we are going to start in reading. I'm also going to do a little series on behavior as well, but we're going to start in reading and talk about where your school currently is. And that's the why. That's why you have to dig into this. On the site, on the course, I'm going to put in there kind of a pre-made slideshow that you can use. You can add your own data into it and that you can show to your teachers. It'll have some questions for you to think through to put on your slides. I'll also put an example of one that's already done in there so you know what it's going to look like. But we know that if students are not reading well by 3rd grade, they are far more likely to drop out of school. Think about that. A child's ability to read at age 8 or 9 can determine their entire future. And let that hang there, right? Like, that's up to us. We can do something about that. And right now, too many of our students are stuck. And I would assume because you're watching this video, that's how you're feeling. They're struggling, they're behind.